only the sincere inquirer as his disciple and gives him the sacred thread. In this way, a man becomes twice born of Dvija. After qualifying as a Dvija, one may study the Vedas, and after becoming well versed in the Vedas, one becomes a Vipra. A Vipra or a qualified Brahmana thus realizes absolute and makes further progress in spiritual life until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. Dvija, Vipra, Vaishnava. But it doesn't define a Vaishnava. That's some issue here. The progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava, for a Vaishnava is a self-realized Lord of Brahman. Okay. Explain the terms Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga 6. This is 6. This for advanced view. Right. Pravritti Marga, Nivritti Marga. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called the Pravritti Marga, or the path of sense enjoyment. And the other is called the Nivritti Marga, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. Identify 3 levels of occupational duties. Three levels of occupational duties. The 3 levels of occupational duties. Okay, one is the occupational duties of the gross materialists. Another is the occupational duty of the mental speculator. And another is the occupational duty of the spiritualist. So these are the 3 occupational duties. The occupational duties of the gross materialist deals with concentrated and extended selfishness. The occupational duty of the mental speculators deals with making poetry, philosophy, or propagating some. The occupational duty of the spiritualist is service to the absolute personality of God. What are some benefits of serving the servants of God? By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of God. The eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. Identify two very difficult problems for the devotee on the path back to Godhead. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. What is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart? 18. The remedy is the association of the Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee Bhagavata. Explain how the devotee Bhagavata is as good as the book Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are competent remedies, and both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. The devotee Bhagavata is as good as the book Bhagavata because the devotee Bhagavata leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavata, and the book Bhagavata is full of information about the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees who are also Bhagavatas. Describe the special feature of devotion service to Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of Godhead, and he is the last word in the transcendence. Thus, he is more attractive to the higher transcendentalists who participate in the eternal pastimes of the Lord. In forms of the personality of Godhead other than Sri Krishna and Baladev, there is no facility for intimate personal contact as in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord at Brajapuni. This is a special feature. Describe the progressive purification of consciousness resulting from hearing about Krishna, 17 to 21. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus, the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. This should be capital S, actually. Refers to the Supreme Self, the Supreme Lord. Explain the term Bhagavata Dharma 27. 27. Where is Bhagavad Gita? There is only one religion in the world to be followed by one and all, and that is the Bhagavata Dharma, or the religion which teaches one to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and no one else. So Bhagavata Dharma is that religion which teaches one to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and no one else. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. Briefly describe the role of the Super Soul within us and the whole material creation. After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. The Lord as Super Soul pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second. The Super Soul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Thus, the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Seeing all this, I am convinced I should do summative exam. I should not be doing all these exams. I'll go nuts with all the things I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to memorize all these things. I'll try to negotiate with Padam Kanimadu and see what he says. This is serious Swaranam business. You can't be in Maya. Analogies. Without knowing the need of the dormant soul, one cannot be happy simply with emolument of the body and mind. What is emolument? What do I do? Advantage. Returns arising from employment. The body and mind are but superfluous outer coverings of spirit soul, of the spirit soul. The spirit soul's needs must be fulfilled. Simply by cleansing the cage of the bird, one does not satisfy the bird. One must actually know the needs of the bird himself. As far as maintenance of the prison house is concerned, it is done by Vishnu, as much as the state prison house is maintained by the state. Anyone, therefore, who wishes to get out of this prison house of material existence, which is full of miseries like repetition of birth, death, disease, and old age, must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. In the prison house, there are the prisoners and the managers of the prison house. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the laws of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes in the prison, he is not bound by the laws of the prison house. The king is therefore always transcendental to the laws of the prison house, as the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of the material world. As fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. The sufferings and enjoyments of the sons are indirectly the sufferings and enjoyments of the father. Still, the father is not in any way affected directly by the suffering and enjoyment of the sons. Discussion topics. Healthy life, seeking the absolute truth. What is this? Healthy life, seeking the absolute truth. One should satisfy the senses only in so much as required for self-preservation and not for sense gratification. Because the body is made of senses, which also require a certain amount of satisfaction, there are regulative directions for satisfaction of such senses. Seekers of the absolute truth are never allured by unnecessary engagements in sense gratification because the serious students seeking the absolute truth are always overwhelmed with the work of researching the truth. Deha Yatra, that is the point. Importance of hearing the Bhagavatam, 12 to 21. Okay, 12 to 21, I will start from here. The seriously inquisitive student of sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Now, Vedanta Shruti is itself clarified in the Bhagavatam. The highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the personality of God. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of God, who is the protector of the devotees. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work karma by remembering the personality of God. And therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? Or twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all bias, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So one gains affinity for hearing the Bhagavatam by serving great devotees. And then by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, once you have developed the urge to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, then Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, the super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment. The Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is itself virtuous. Srimad Bhagavatam is itself virtuous when properly heard and chanted. And regularly attending the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee whose life is in full obedience to the teachings of the Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. Loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. And then the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. And the devotee is established in goodness. Then he comes to the point of pure goodness, and he becomes completely happy. His mind is now enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord. So he gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus, the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the Supreme Self as master. Qualifications of Shukadev Goswami as expressed by Sutta Goswami 2 and 3. So what were the qualifications? The qualifications of Shukadev Goswami. First qualification was that he was a liberated soul from his very birth. He did not even undergo the samskaras. Such as Upanayana. Upanayana is mandatory for all ordinary souls. First one becomes a Dvija. Vipra, Vaishnava, finally he becomes a Vaishnava. But Shukadeva Goswami was a Vaishnava from the beginning. Since the goal of Varnashrama Dharma is to make one into a pure Vaishnava. This Vaishnava is not the one who engages in Vishnu Bhakti on a daily basis with contamination. He is a self-realized Vaishnava. So Varnashrama Dharma aims at producing such Vaishnavas. Even if one were to say it refers to Madhyama Vaishnava, it should be a Madhyama Vaishnava accepted by the Uttama Vaishnava. So Shukadeva Goswami was born with the qualification of a Vaishnava. Did not have to undergo any ceremony. So that's one qualification. Another qualification is this one, that out of great compassion he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam, which is an explanation to the Vedanta Sutra. After experiencing the teachings of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And Shukadeva Goswami was a thoroughly realized master on both. Out of his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men who want to cross completely over nations, he recited it. So this is the target audience. That's important to know. Bewildered materialistic men who want to cross completely over nations. The jnanis. The karmis are bewildered materialistic men, but they don't want to cross over the ocean of material existence fully. But they are aware of how to navigate. The Anyabhilashis, they don't even understand that much. So Shukadeva Goswami, he realized the teachings of Bhagavatam and then explained it. So he was a realized teacher. Srimad Bhagavatam is the unrivaled explanation of Vedanta Sutra.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sometimes we hear that Shukadeva Goswami, initially he was Brahmavadi, and by hearing the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, he became like Vaishnava, something like that.
Yes.
But here we heard that he is Vaishnava from birth itself.
He played the role of an impersonalist. Played the role of an impersonalist. Standard of first class transcendental religion. This must be Savai Pamsam Paradharma. But here there are two features here that should be noted. Ahaituki and Apratihata. Ahaituki, causeless, means unmotivated. Apratihata, unbroken, means uninterrupted. So first class transcendental religion is that by which unmotivated, uninterrupted devotion service unto the transcendental personality of Godhead is attained, by which our selves will become completely satisfied. So first of all, it is Nivritti Marga, it is not Pravritti Marga. Then on top of it, the point is to come to this standard of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal and all cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. That means it's considered to be the higher form of Vedic Dharma. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality, adoption of devotional service for material gain. So devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, without the least desire for material enjoyment, without any tinge of unnecessary desire. This is anyabhilashita, fruitive action, karma, and philosophical speculation, jnana. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. Yayatma suprasidati. And this is our dharma, this is our original nature. And when that happens, then jnana and vairagya automatically develop. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has noted that Savai Pumsam Parodharma. Parodharma refers to sadhana bhakti. Haituki apratihata adhokshaja bhakti, that is actually prema bhakti. Pure sadhana bhakti. That leads to pure prema bhakti. So when we engage in pure sadhana bhakti, then we attain causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. That means direct knowledge. Jnanam cha yad ahaitukam. Causeless here means not caused by anything material. Transcendental realization. So if these symptoms do not manifest, then we should understand that we are not engaged in first-class transcendental religion. So one can go on saying, but I'm following my religion, I'm following my teacher, I'm following my guru, I'm doing whatever. But we are not progressing towards manifest pure devotional service to Krishna. Because if I actually engage in pure devotional service to Krishna, then the symptoms would manifest. I got cut. I think everybody should turn off the video. Just don't fall asleep. Okay. So the result of jnana and vairagya should manifest. That knowledge is not dry reasoning. It is actually spiritual realization. Three features of the one absolute truth. 11. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The personal Brahman is realized by the students of the Upanishads, localized Paramatma by the Hiranya Garbhas, H-A-I. Then again gets cut off. Why is it getting continuing cut off? It's a nightmare. Okay, here there's a clarification. Impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead. Paramatma is a partial representation of the personality of Godhead. And the example of the sun rays and the sun god is brought out. Overcoming obstacles on the path to purified consciousness. That is, if we follow this pathway, then one can actually progress. This is the same as what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur brings out. Satam, Kripa, Mahat Seva, 14 stages. That's straight taken from here. So, first of all, we need to have the mercy of the great devotee, the pure devotees or the great devotees, Satam Kripa, then Mahat Seva, then we have to serve them. And at each stage, we should ensure that we don't lose what we have gained. That is important. So without giving up Sadhu Kripa, the mercy of the sages, we should engage in Mahat Seva, service to the great souls. Without giving up Sadhu Kripa and Mahat Seva, then we can develop faith, Shraddha. Without giving up these three, then we should take shelter of a bona fide Guru. Without giving up these four, one develops a hankering to engage in different types of bhajana kriya to please Krishna. Without giving up these five, one should engage in bhakti, which is bhajana kriya. So like that. If we don't give up the previous ones, then we make spiritual progress. Somapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So without giving up sadhu kripa, how to progress?
Yeah, you cannot progress, correct. That is the whole point. So let us not mess it up. Let's not commit some offenses and create a big mess.
But in the neophyte stage, it happens frequently.
We have to decide whether we want to be in the neophyte stage for life after life after life, or whether we want to progress. Okay, let's move on. Demigod worship, 22 to 29. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than raw wood. And fire is still better, for by fire one can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship those in the same category, namely the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with woman, wealth, power, and progeny. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifices to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. In other words, if you want to get freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth, then you have to worship Lord Vishnu. You have to worship Lord Krishna or his plenary portions. Krishna in relation to his expansions. 23 to 34. So one thing that we note Here Krishna comes 22. See, look at 22. Vasudeva. Since time immemorial, Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, has been worshipped. Then here also, if we see 28, 29. Vasudeva Para, 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 Vasudeva Para. So many times Vasudeva comes, the son of Vasudeva, Sri Krishna. So Krishna is indeed the origin, the actual goal of the Vedic scriptures. But his expansions are also worshipped. His expansions are also worshipped. He expands himself, and then in the form of certain expansions, he enters into this universe. He also incarnates, performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Occupational engagements and Krishna consciousness. All these occupational activities are performed with the idea that we might become attracted to the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavata Dharma. So our Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, Stri Dharma, Samanya Dharma, all of these are meant for ultimate liberation. They are not actually meant for material gain, even though they produce material gain. They produce extraordinary material gain that you cannot attain through Nyabilashita. That's a fact. But still, one should not hanker for material gain. And even when one attains material gain, one should not become focused on cultivating sense gratification. Material gain is for a healthy life. That means self-preservation, so that we can develop a desire to know, understand, and realize the absolute truth. And that absolute truth is initially realized as Brahman, further realized as Paramatma, and finally realized as Bhagavan. So, equipped with knowledge and detachment, one realizes that Bhagavan or Paramatma or Brahman, in terms of what he has heard in a Vedanta Shruti as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, the highest perfection one can attain by engaging in Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, Stri Dharma, Samanya Dharma is to please the personality of Godhead, which means to engage in those activities which are naturally pleasing to the personality of Godhead, which is Bhakti Yoga, which is the conclusion next. Therefore, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead. Okay, then chapter 3, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Analyze the functions of the three Purusha avatars, 1 and 2. Okay, let's make this far better here. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. Thus at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. So these are brief answers. So here itself I will look. This is Karanakshay Vishnu. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. And from the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop the stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, become manifest. That is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. From Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, there is expansion of the Kshiravakashayi Vishnu, who is the collective Paramatma of all living beings in one specific universe. So the Purusha avatar is manifested in three features. First, the Karanavakshayi, who creates aggregate material ingredients in the Mahatattva. Second, the Garbhodakashayi, who enters in each and every universe. And third, the Kshiravakashayi Vishnu, who is the Paramatma of every material object, organic or inorganic, within that universe. Okay. Explain the relative positions of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma was generated from Rajoguna of Prakriti, or the mode of passion in nature, and Vishnu became the lord of the mode of goodness. Vishnu, being transcendental to all the modes, is always aloof from materialistic affection. This has already been explained. From Brahma, there is Rudra, Shiva, who is in charge of the mode of ignorance or darkness. He destroys the whole creation by the will of the Lord. Therefore, all three, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, are incarnations of the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. All the incarnations within the universe are emanations from which Purusha avatar? This is 5. Yes. And all the incarnations within the universe are emanations from this Kshiravakashayi Vishnu. Explain the significance of Lord Krishna as Bhagavan Swayam, 28. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Lord Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. So what does it mean? It means originally the Lord is full of all opulence, all prowess, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. When they are partly manifested through the plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions, it should be noted that certain manifestations of his different powers are required for those particular functions. When in the room small electric bulbs are displayed, it does not mean that the electric powerhouse is limited by the small bulbs. The same powerhouse can supply power to operate large-scale industrial dynamos with greater volts. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. However, Lord Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, he manifests all of these features. But Lord Krishna, the primeval Lord, exhibited the complete features of God. Thus, it is confirmed that he is the source of all other incarnations. List some of the powers displayed by the various incarnations of the Lord here. Lord Parshuram and Lord Nrsimha displayed unusual opulence by killing the disobedient Kshatriyas 21 times and killing the greatly powerful atheist Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that even the demigods in other planets would tremble simply by the unfavorable raising of his eyebrow. The demigods in the higher level of material existence many times excel the most well-to-do human beings in duration of life, beauty, wealth, paraphernalia, and all other respects. Still, they were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Thus, we can simply imagine how powerful Hiranyakashipu was in this material world. But even Hiranyakashipu was cut into small pieces by the nails of Lord Nrsimha. This means that anyone materially powerful cannot stand the strength of the Lord's nails. Similarly, Jamadagnya, Parshuram, displayed the Lord's power to kill all the disobedient kings powerfully situated in their respective states. The Lord's empowered incarnation, Narada, and plenary incarnation, Varaha, as well as indirectly empowered Lord Buddha, created faith in the mass of people. The incarnations of Rama and Dhanvantari displayed his fame, and Balaram, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited his beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kumara, and Kapila exhibited his transcendental knowledge. Nara and Narayana Rishis exhibited his renunciation. So all of them manifested different features. Dharma Guru.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, for this question number, explain the significance of Lord Krishna as Bhagavan Swayam. Though it was explained earlier, and then there comes again in the, I think, second last paragraph of this purport, where Prabhupada writes about the Jiva Goswami, why Swayam has been used, and all those things is described in the second
Lord
last.
Krishna is the source of all other incarnations. It is not that Lord Krishna has any source of incarnation. All the symptoms of the Supreme Truth in full are present in the person of Lord Sri Krishna. In this stanza, the word Swayam is particularly mentioned to confirm that Lord Krishna has no other source than himself. Although in other places the incarnations are described as Bhagavan because of their specific functions, nowhere are they declared to be the Supreme Personality. In this stanza, the word Swayam signifies the supremacy as a Samam Bonam. Okay? There's a question here. In 1.3.1 purport, we read the innumerable universes are generated from the skin holes of this Karanaviksha Vishnu. Within this Mahatattva, there are innumerable universes. Today, Mahatattva and innumerable universes simultaneously emanate from skin holes of Mahavishnu. I don't know yet. Okay, explain the term Amogha Leelaha. 36. 36. Explain the term Amogha Leelaha. One whose activities are spotless. Whose activities are always spotless. Here he is called the Amogha Leelaha, which indicates that there is nothing lamentable in his creation. Those who create disturbance in his creation are themselves disturbed. Analogies. We should not expect milk from the fleshy bags on the neck of a goat, although they look like breastplate nipples. Similarly, we should not expect any creative power from the material ingredients. When in the room, small electric bulbs are displayed, it does not mean that the electric powerhouse is limited by the small bulbs. The same powerhouse can supply power to operate large-scale industrial dynamos with greater volts. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. When the president goes out in his particular car, we say that is the president. For the time being, we identify the car with the president. Similarly, less intelligent men who want to see God immediately without necessary qualification are shown first the gigantic material cosmos as a form of the Lord, although the Lord is within and without. The example of electrical energy is very appropriate in this connection. The expert electrician can utilize electrical energy for both heating and cooling by adjustment only. Similarly, the external energy, which now bewilders a living being into continuation of birth and death, is turned into internal potency by the will of the Lord to lead the living being to eternal life. Krishna in relation to his various expansions. Okay, this is a subject matter that is analyzed in Krishna Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. He looks at this very list actually, from 1 to 28. He notes that first, the Purusha avatars are enlisted. and notes that the Purusha avatars are transcendental. And then there's a list of incarnations. So you find different incarnations stated here: Kumaras, Kurma, Varaha, and then Narada Muni, Naranarayana, Kapila, Dattatreya, this is Yagya, then Rishabha, Prithu, then Matsya, Kurma, then Dhanvantari, Mohini Devi, Simhadev, Vamana, Bhrigupati or Parshuram, Vyasadeva, Ramachandra, Balaram, Krishna, Buddha, Kalki, and then notes that there are innumerable other incarnations also. And then further notes that what to speak of these forms or expansions of the Lord, everyone who is especially powerful exhibits some feature of the Lord. So they are referred to as portions of the plenary portions or plenary portions and so on, including Prajapatis. And then in 28, he makes the bold declaration, the revelation actually, that but Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, which implies that every time you come across various lists of incarnations, you should understand that Krishna, who is referred to as an incarnation, is actually the source of all the incarnations. Okay, open book assessment questions. Let me anyway just read out this. With respect to Bhagavatam 111, briefly explain how the Srimad Bhagavatam establishes Krishna as absolute truth. Then show how this understanding refutes common misconceptions about God, reflects the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada, helps your faith in Krishna consciousness and your practices of devotional service. Krishna exhibits all the symptoms of the absolute truth. Anyway, these are essays which you would have to work out yourself. With respect to Bhagavatam 112 and 126, briefly contrast cheating religion, Kaitava Dharma, with transcendental religion, Paradharma. Then describe how Paradharma is the way to complete satisfaction for the soul. Srimad Bhagavatam is practically changing your life. With reference to 112, 115 to 8, and 122 to 3, identify the qualifications one must have to properly hear and speak Srimad Bhagavatam. Then describe how you feel challenged trying to develop the above qualities and qualifications, as well as how you plan to overcome these challenges. Explain significant principles presented in Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 10. What changes could be made in your life in order to apply these principles. Describe the standard of the people in the age of Kali with reference to the Sanskrit in Srimad Bhagavatam. One, 10 to 11. Give examples from your own experience which reflects this description. By the end of the unit, students should be able to present a brief overview of chapters 1 to 3, present an overview of the Bhagavatam with reference to different parts of the Lord's body. Padav Yadiyo Prasamadvitiyo, the lotus feet of the Lord, are the first two cantos and so on. Where is that verse? Padav Yadiyo Prasamadvitiyo. That's my folio. Right here. Audio here. Now we continue with this. Okay, then identify the components of the Bhagavatam's invocation in verses 1, 2, and 3. Components of Bhagavatam's invocation. These are the different features of the Mangalacharan. This is Vastu Nirdesh. But I'll have to give some explanation of what all this means. ये मंगलाचरण है त्रिविध प्रकार वस्तु निर्देश आशीर्वाद नमस्कार. Invocation involves 3 processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. You see here, Vastu Nirdesh, defining the object, Ashirvad, benedictions, Namaskar, obeisances. So there are 3 types of Mangalacharan. Sometimes Mangalacharan might contain more than one of these features. It might contain all 3 also. But these 3 are meant to be there. So if you look at one minute, let me just so if you look at the first 3, the first one here, he is offering his obeisances unto Lord Krishna, Namaskar. And also there is a Vastu Nirdesh. There is a clear and comprehensive presentation of what is the subject matter of this book. If you look at the second one, here also, further Vastu Nirdesh. In the first one, the supreme truth is described. In the second one, the means by which one can realize the supreme truth is also brought up. Here also the truth is brought out. This Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu. I do not remember whether I brought up this. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about this. I think now is a good time for me to bring out these kind of things. There is Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu. In this book, Vastavam Vastu, if you put it in a single word, will become Vastava Vastu. Vastu means substance, and Vastava Vastu refers to substantial substance. Did I explain this? Does anyone remember this?
No, I did not.
Bhakti Vaibhav, did I explain it?
No, you did not, I think.
Okay, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur distinguishes between Vastava Vastu Avastava vastu and avastu. Substantial substance, non-substantial substance, non-substance. Substantial substance refers to, first of all, substance refers to that which always exists. That which always exists is vastu. It is a substance. So, for instance, Vaikuntha, Krishna, devotion service to the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. These always exist. They always exist in the same form. Krishna always exists as Krishna. That is substantial substance. Non-substantial substance refers to the manifestations of material nature and so on. Material nature is substance. And the manifestations also, because they repeatedly keep occurring, that also you can consider to be substance, but it is non-substantial because they go on changing. The universe in the beginning is of a particular state, then later on it changes its state and ultimately it's destroyed. Similarly, if you look at the body, jayate, asti, vardhate, parinamate, apakshiyate, mriyate, it undergoes 6 changes. But nevertheless, it is a substance because the cycle occurs continuously. Avastu refers to non-substance, something which does not exist at all. Something which does not exist at all means like the flower in the sky. The flower in the sky does not exist at all. It is simply a combination of words. There are no flowers in the sky, but there is a concept that there are flowers in the sky. So they are avastu. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vastava Vastu is brought out clearly. Vedyam Vastava Matra Vastu. From this Bhagavatam, one can understand Vastava Vastu. If I have it here. Okay, in the meanwhile, I found out in a Back to Godhead article, I found Srimad Bhagavatam's 12 cantos represent the limbs of Lord Sri Krishna's transcendental body according to the following verses of Padma Purana. I will not read the Sanskrit, but I'll read the English translation. The first and second cantos of the Bhagavatam are Sri Krishna's lotus feet. The third and fourth cantos are his thighs. Fifth canto is his navel. The sixth canto is his chest. The seventh and eighth cantos are his arms. The ninth canto is his
Prabhu, we are
throat.
not able to see what you are reading.
Oh. The seventh and eighth cantos are his arms. The ninth canto is his throat. The 10th canto is his beautiful lotus face. The 11th canto is his forehead. The 12th canto is his head. I bow down to that Lord, the ocean of mercy, whose color is like that of a tamal tree and who appears in this world for the welfare of all. I worship him as the bridge for crossing the unfathomable ocean of material existence. The Bhagavatam has appeared as his very self. There's no diacritical marks here, but then we can trace it out. It is there. I've seen it. Padav yadiyau prathamadvitiyau tatiyaturyau kathitau yaduru nabhistatha panchama eva shashtho bhujantaram do yugalam tathanyau kantastu rajan navamo yadiyau mukharavindam dashamah prapullam ekadasho yasya lalata pattam sthiro vidudva dasha eva bhati Samadhidevam Karunanidhanam Tamalavarnam Sukhitavataram Apara Samsara Samudra Setum Bhajamahe Bhagavata Swarupam. Yeah. What is this? Back from 1.1.3. What is it? Shravanadibhi kim atra gyayate ityapekshayam. Through hearing, contemplating and so on, what are we, what is understood from the Srimad Bhagavatam? Anticipating this question, Vyasadeva says, Vedyam, Vastavam, Adi Madhyavasaneshu Stiram, that which is steady, the beginning, middle and end. Yad Vastu, Tannirmatsaranantu Shravanadhyavritya Vatsara Apagama Eveti. Those who are non-envious through hearing and so on, by repeated hearing and so on, after that enviousness have gone away, that is the point. Then they will be able to know, understand and realize this Vastava Vastu. Tairapi Natra Prayatna Abhava Kartavya. They should endeavor in this matter of repeatedly trying to hear and so on. Tatpakshepi Vedyam Veditum Arham Nityarthalabhaditi Bhava. So they are capable of realizing, of knowing, understanding, realizing this truth. Tacha Bhagavata Swarupam. That is the Swarupa or the nature of Bhagavan. Nama Rupa Gunadi Vaikunthati Dhamani Cha Bhaktischa Bhaktascha Bhaktischeti Anyat Jagadadi Sarvam Avantaram Astiram Vastu Iti Arthe Labdhe Vaikunthadi Jagadadyor Vastutvepi Vastavatva Vastavattvabhyam Bhedascha Bodhitaha. So that Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu, that refers to the nature of Bhagavan as well as his names, his forms, his qualities and so on, Vaikuntha and other dhams of the Lord and so on, his devotees, the process of devotion service. Everything else, that means the Jagat, the material world that is manifested to us and so on, all of that, they are only intermediate products. They are not always there and they are astira, they are not permanent, but they are vastu. So when we understand this, then we distinguish between Vaikuntha and other dhams, as well as Jagat and so on. So even though they are all vastu, still there is a distinction in terms of vastava and avastava. Tatascha mithya bhuta kha pushpadikam eva avastu ityayatam. Then we come to the conclusion that kha pushpa, the flower in the sky and so on, are simply false, and they are the ones which are referred to as avastu. Okay, then. Okay, so the truth is also brought out here. So vastu nirdesha. And then here, third verse, Ashirvad. Here is blessings. Relish this Bhagavatam. This is blessings, Ashirvad. The three features are being brought out. Identify the sage's 6 questions or requests and identify Sutta Goswami's responses. Where is that? I think I read out from Krishna Chakravarti. But I think it came in the
question
in
CBA itself.
handbook itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is it brought out? It's brought out somewhere here. Where I myself forgot. It clearly states the questions and the places where the answers are. It wasn't good.
Here it is.
Here. Okay, so this we already read. I'm not going to repeat it. Explain how was, not Vasudeva, spelling mistake, Vasudeva, it should be short A without a dash, is the symbol of the transcendental position. What is this? Chapter 1, text 12. Vasudeva is a symbol of the transcendental position wherein the appearance of the Supreme Lord takes place. So this I already pointed out. I showed an excerpt from the 4th canto, where Lord Shiva talks about Sattvam Shuddham Yad Vasudeva Shabditam. The point is, unless one comes to the point of, one comes to the position of Vishuddha Sattva, being freed from material goodness, material passion, material ignorance, one cannot realize the nature of the Supreme Person. Explain the importance of gaining Brahmanical qualities for relishing Bhagavatam. Dhimahi. Unless one becomes a qualified Brahmana, one will not be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Gayatri Mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri Mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. So unless we come to the point of being a pure Brahmana or a perfect Brahmana, as Prabhupada says, that is actually a Kanishta Vaishnava. One cannot come to the point of second class Vaishnava or a first class Vaishnava. At least one should have all the good qualities of Kanishta Vaishnava. Good quality means that he has the quality of goodness. So that is indicated here. The very expression, dhimahi, that is used here. That itself, it indicates that this book is meant for those who are in the mode of goodness. Somapati Prabhu.
So transcendental position means?
Transcendental position means beyond the 3 modes of material nature.
So without second initiation is not possible?
Without?
Second initiation, it is not possible?
No, whether one chooses to take second initiation or not is not the point. He has to come to the point of being a Brahmana by Guna and Karma. Second initiation is an external ceremony. One may choose not to undergo that. All of us are meant to become, first of all, Dharmic, and then Sattvic, and then Shuddha, and then we can become Siddha. So Dharmic can be officially recognized in terms of first initiation. Sattvic, officially recognized when you attain second initiation. Pure, officially recognized when you take sannyas. And then perfect, that is, there was something called Paramahamsa Vesh. That is meant to be a recognition that you attain bhava bhakti and so on. It used to be. Then unqualified people, they were given Paramahamsa. When unqualified people are given all these things, it becomes a big social chaos. But the effect, it is the effect that we are looking at. For instance, Haridas Thakur never received second initiation from anyone, never put on a sacred thread and so on. But Advaita Acharya recognized him as a perfect, more than a perfect Brahmana. And he offered him, there's a way of recognizing such Brahmanas in certain ceremonies, and he recognized him as such. Okay, let's get back to this. Identify the benefits of attentive and submissive hearing of the Bhagavatam. In text 2. As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, the exact word that's used here is Prithvi Shushrushavi. Shushrushavi. By Shushrusha. Shushrusha is a word which indicates service, and it is derived from it is related to the word Shravana, hearing. So when you desire to hear, you have to first of all engage in menial service, because only then you will be taught that. Otherwise, one will not be taught. Prabhupada brings it up here. Where the proper method for receiving this transcendental message is to hear it submissively. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize this transcendental message. One particular word is used herein for proper guidance. This word is shushrushu, shushrushubi. One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear idle social and political conversations, but when invited to attend a meeting of devotees to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, they suddenly become reluctant. So here means not becoming reluctant. It also means to submissively hear all portions of Srimad Bhagavatam, from the first canto, Janmadhyasya, up to the last, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya, up to that. But for that, it's only after many pious deeds one comes to that point of developing such a desire. Explain the importance of honoring saintly devotees and avoiding offending them. Pada Samshraya. So those who are completely taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, such great sages can at once sanctify. The sincere disciple of the pure devotee considers the spiritual master equal to the Lord, but that spiritual master does not think that he is equal to the Lord. He thinks that he is a humble servant of the Lord. The reason why this is given so much importance is because of the efficacy, how fast one attains spiritual realization. Therefore, we should not consider pure devotees of Lord Vishnu to be material souls. Upadeshamrita talks about this. Reflect on that, relishing the Bhagavatam with reference to verse 3. Verse 3 specifically refers to those who are bhavukas. Look at this. Rasikaha, bhavukaha. Those who are in full knowledge of the mellows. Rasagya is the exact Sanskrit expression. And bhavuka refers to expert and thoughtful. Strictly speaking, it refers to those who are on the platform of bhava bhakti at least. Because the relishing of rasa takes place from that point. Prior to that, one does not actually relish the rasa. There are different rasas centered on the Supreme Lord. But they can be relished by one who has become fully transcendental. Not before that. Oh, nice, actually. Very, very nice. Reflect on the qualifications for presenting the Bhagavatam in the line of Vyasa. Free from all vice. Which indicates that one should be freed from at least the primary symptoms of Kali Yuga. Meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling. Should be well versed in all the scriptures famous for religious life, Dharma Shastras, Puranas, histories, Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Going through them under proper guidance and offering them to those who need such explanations. Being acquainted with the teachings of Vyasadeva. Being acquainted with the teachings of other sages. Being submissive to one's spiritual masters to such an extent that favors have been bestowed upon such a gentle disciple. So all of them are qualifications. Present Krishna is the absolute truth as described in the Bhagavatam's first verse. That should be very, very clear, very, very clear. Not difficult. Present the Bhagavatam's authority with reference to Puranas and scholars. That is found in the purport itself. Distinguish real from pretentious religion. Pretentious religion is dharma that is aimed at artha and kama, and with no desire to attain the benefits of dharma for other purposes. In other words, one is not interested in liberation from material existence at all, or to be interested in liberation from material existence without devotion service unto Lord Vishnu, the supreme absolute truth. Whereas a real religion is not that. Real religion teaches one how to come to this point of realization of the highest truth, and by which the threefold miseries are entirely uprooted. Present the Bhagavatam as a mature fruit of Vedic literature. Mature fruit in the sense that even though the Vedic literature is a desired tree that gives everything knowable, realizable, experienceable, still the result of karma is temporary. The result of jnana in the form of liberation in impersonal Brahman is not fully satisfactory. The ultimate goal is rasa, is to attain full-fledged experience of the various transcendental mellows. And Srimad Bhagavatam brings one to that point makes one capable of relishing spiritual rasa. Reflect on the appropriate attitude for understanding the Bhagavatam. The appropriate attitude. Attitude is important. Study of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita is very much dependent on attitude. One has to attentively and submissively hear the message of Bhagavatam in its entirety. Attentively and submissively indicates that one is interested in obeying the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Compare the mood of the sages at Naimisharanya with Prabhupada's mood. Text 4. The sages, they were interested in performing sacrifices for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu because they are attached to his service. Unlike the fallen souls who are attached to pleasures of the material world. And they also wanted to do good to the people in general. If you look at the original verse, you'll find Swargaya Lokaya. So they engaged in this Satra sacrifice in order to glorify the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in heaven, or Swar. It is actually Swar-Gaya. The one who is sung, glorified and celebrated in Swarloka. That is Lord Vishnu. And Lokaya, and for the benefit of the entire world. Lokaya can refer to Bhagavat Lokas, devotees of the Lord, but it also can refer to the world itself. So they wanted to do that. So they wanted to please the Supreme Lord. They also wanted to please the world in such a manner that the Lord is pleased. Okay. And that way of doing good is taught in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yatha taror moola nishechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashaka pranopahara chethendriyanam tataiva sarvarthanam apchute jya. To get everyone to engage in devotion service unto the Lord. That is the greatest welfare work. Okay, I'll stop with this. We'll resume this from tomorrow. Okay. Panchakalputarvyasya kripasintabhyevacha Paritanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.